What were they thinking with this dock?
It's time to talk about the Nintendo Switch. Remorse or Bliss?
I was able to pick up a Nintendo Switch earlier this week. I've had it for approximately 4 or 5 days, and I just want to go over my initial reactions about the console. This is a hybrid where you can take it from a handheld, switch it to a desktop. It comes with a docking station and an adapter. So I've already unboxed it. I've been using it for a few days, mostly because I really wanted to play the new Zelda. That's why I ended up getting this system, was just to play Zelda. I haven't had a Nintendo machine in a couple of years. The last Nintendo machine that I purchased was a Nintendo Wii. So here is the Nintendo Switch. I do have a screen protector on it, which I'll talk about in a minute. The big gimmick, or the big selling feature about the Nintendo Switch, is the ability to pop your Joy-Cons on and off. And then you can use these standalone, or you can dock them in something else, and you can place this into a desktop mode, or you can put it into the dock and play on your TV. Very satisfying click. I'm going to get into a bit of a rant here about some of the design choices that I think that Nintendo made. I don't necessarily know what they were thinking. Obviously, some of them are cost-cutting measures and trying to keep the price of it down. The screen is only 720p. It actually looks really good. Problem is that most phones these days, here's an LG G3 right here, this has a quad HD display. This phone in my hand has 4 times the pixels that this new Nintendo does. I would have preferred that they have it be a 1080p screen to just give it that extra little bit of crispiness that a lot of people are looking for. The other con that I have about it is the kickstand. The kickstand design is very hard to get open. Like, for children, that's one thing about this system. I don't think this system is designed for children. I think it's more meant for teenagers or adults. If you have a kid, just keep them with the 3DS for now. I really think that this machine is going to be more geared towards adults in the short term. This kickstand, it's functional, but whoops, that's the... I didn't mean to do that. That's the first time that's happened. But yeah, look at how crappy quality this kickstand is. It is, I have seen on the internet, it is designed to pop on and off like that. There, now it's back on. It's functional on a hard surface, but other than that, it's pretty poor. I would have really liked to see a surface-style hinge design. That would have been a much better choice. A big flap that opened up and had an articulating adjustable joint. One of the other weird design choices that I find, just from a Nintendo history perspective, and maybe them going more for cost-cutting versus forward-thinking, is that this whole device has no cameras on it. So you'll never be able to play any augmented reality games. You'll never be able to take any pictures with this device. Kind of an odd choice, considering that all of the DS's, 3DS's, and the Wii U all had cameras. Maybe they did some research and found that people just never used it, but I feel like they've really closed off the whole ability to have the camera. They did add an infrared camera on the right Joy-Con, and that is for 1-2 Switch game has a crazy game where you open and close your mouth and pretend like you're chewing things, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why they would have spent the money to put an infrared camera here and not put any normal cameras on. Seems like a really odd design choice. The other weird design choice is just the button layout. You don't have a D-pad. So the directional pad is these 4 buttons here, which you can use as a D-pad, but it's just weird. And it was one of their compromised design choices so that you could take it off and play it. You know, you can run it like this as well in a 2-player mode. So my wife and I were playing Snipper Clips, and you know, that game wife approved actually. She really thought it was cool, really fun, had a good laugh out of it. Just played the demo that you can do this. You can have 2-player games. It comes with the 2 controllers to run them in that configuration right out of the box. That's super cool. I think that the third-party accessory market is going to become very strong for this. From what I've heard so far, it's already sold 1.5 to 2 million units in the first week and a half. That's incredible. Okay, the other weird design choice is just the lack of depth. So the whole device is very thin, which from an industrial design point looks nice and clean, but from an actual ergonomics, it's pretty bad. If you're holding onto this a long period of time and you have big man hands, it gets quite uncomfortable, and there's no place to curl your fingers. So I don't like how flat of a profile it is. I have been able to get a accessory device for the Switch. Was this starter kit from Biogenik. This is a Canadian company. Actually, it's exclusive to Electronics Boutique in Canada. And this was a starter kit that included a Switch case, a Switch screen protector, a cleaning cloth, Switch control nubs, headphones, and the best thing is these 2 silicone grips. Now these silicone grips that came in the Biogenik kit, to me they seem actually a lot nicer than the officially licensed Nintendo ones, because look at how much more depth you get to hold on. It makes it incredibly more comfortable, 1,000 times more comfortable to hold in my opinion. You just pop it on like that. It has nice little nubs. It keeps it nice and tight and gives you a much needed depth to give you a much more comfortable grip. So this is primarily how I've been playing the Switch. I probably have 10 or so hours into Zelda so far. And I found it to be the most comfortable playing like this with these new grips. It still works with popping them on and off. You can still run them separately as 2-player controllers with the grips on. The only thing you cannot keep the grip on with is the controller adapter, because this is too deep, so you do have to take it off to put it into the controller holster. Well, that was the best thing about this starter kit. Now I think you can buy all these things separately for like $10 each. It would have ended up being $50 worth of stuff. This is like $25, so just buy the bundle. The case is pretty basic, but does the job. I'll probably look for a better one soon, but it is kind of a bulky case. It does work with the extra depth of the controllers. It's a tight fit, but it does work, and it's just a basic design. It doesn't have the flap or the holsters. You're just supposed to put everything in this little mesh bucket here, and it has some little elastic straps to hold it down. Very basic case. Now, one of my big complaints is actually the dock. What were they thinking with this dock? It has a bit of a presence to it, which maybe that's what they were going for, but when you set it in front of a TV or in your cabinet stand, it actually looks quite weird. And there's not much to it except for it's so plasticky, and as you've probably seen reports of, it can scratch the screen. So that's why I immediately put a screen protector on. Before I ever docked the device, I immediately put a screen protector on it, because it is extremely easy to scratch the screen. The screen is plastic, and on the dock, I cannot believe they made this design choice, but the dock has these plastic rails, and there's absolutely zero padding. There's no felt cover. There's nothing soft about these rails. The only soft padded piece is a little itty bitty strip right in there. That's the only piece of rubber that is stopping these plastic rails from scratching your screen. There's nothing on the back one to protect it from scratching. It's such a weird design. It has the USB-C port down the bottom there with a little hinge. I think that the aftermarket is going to take over this docking station, because there's not that much to it. It does some cool functions. So it turns your one USB-C port into a HDMI out USB. That's your USB-C power in. This is a USB out, this is your HDMI out. You have 2 more USB ports here on the side. And this is what allows you to turn your Switch into a home console. So it has that flap for cable management. The back side is fine. I don't know why they felt the need to put this big plastic shield on the front. I would have rather had it just be this control box, and I think that's what I'll see a lot of people do. Is really the only functional part of this is this box here, and really that's all you need. Is a little breakout box that would turn the one USB-C port on the bottom into power and HDMI out at the same time. So far, the best thing about the Switch is Zelda. It runs amazing. It's great to have a full experience like this on a handheld machine. The graphics on this screen look incredible. And actually, so far, it is a more pleasurable experience to play it on this Switch screen than it is to run it on the TV. So now I have my Nintendo Switch docked in its docking station. I've taken the silicone grips off and I've set it up onto the controller attachment. This controller attachment as well, I have some nitpicky things to say about it. Like the plastics that they used, unbelievably cheap feeling plastics on this little sad dog style controller. From performance perspective though, I wasn't sure that I was getting real 1080p out of it last night. Or maybe it was just not detecting it properly before, but now it looks fantastic. So now this is projecting onto a 100-inch display. And it looks amazing. So that's one of the biggest benefits of the Switch, is that it's a handheld where you can just dock it and now it's a home console. That's definitely one of the most blissful things about it, is that you can play it on your TV, and then as soon as I undock it, then immediately you're playing it on the go. I can just have that as the HDMI in, dock it up, boom, immediately on the TV. And when you go into TV mode, it upscales from the 720p that this screen can do to a 1080p on your television. Really awesome. One of the bad things about using it in the home console mode is the Bluetooth range of these little Joy-Cons is absolutely terrible. The left one, you've probably heard some reports if you've been doing any kind of Switch research, but the left one has weak Bluetooth signal. So with my Switch just there, this is I'm maybe 6 feet away from the Switch. If I hold the controller up against my body and try and move around, there is some perceptible lag, and sometimes it'll lose a Bluetooth connection altogether. It's a little bit intermittent, but yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Did I just throw a sword away? I think I did. Yeah, I just threw my sword away. I don't even know how that happened. Overall though, extremely blissful experience. Oh, Blood Moon. Blood Moon starting. Oh crap, I gotta get out of here. Even though I've been picking a lot of nitpicky things about it, it is a pretty blissful experience to have this type of quality on the go with this type of controls. You just need to buy a few accessories for it. So get a screen protector, get some grips, and you'll be set to go. I really hope that the aftermarket improves the kickstand ability and some really cool stuff starts coming out for it. Because it is so modular, I can see some extra Joy-Con styles coming out, as well as some different docking accessories coming out for it.
I'm gonna say Bliss just because of Zelda, honestly. If a AAA super highly rated huge game like that hadn't came out for it, I wouldn't have got this device. But I see the potential. I think it's going to have a strong future. The initial sales of it are extremely strong, and I think it's going to have a really good aftermarket support for this device. I do think that there were some really boneheaded design choices though, like when it's docked, you can't charge it because the port to charge it is on the bottom. So you have to get a stand if you want to raise it up to charge it while in a desktop mode. The headphone jack placement is in the top of the tablet. That's fine for when you've got it in handheld mode, but what if I want to use it in desktop mode with headphone? Audio jack for headphones should have been on a Joy-Con. Then I could take it with me on the go. It would be like an Xbox One controller where you could have your headphones plugged into your controller and use it like that. Bluetooth headphones. You cannot use Bluetooth headphones with your Nintendo Switch. The game saves, as far as I know, are tied on the device. They save to the device memory. The other weird thing is that any games that you download are tied to the Switch console itself, not to your account. Nintendo has a long way to go with the online services and being able to make sure that your data and your work that you put into games can be transferred off at a later time. Some of the other things I would have liked to see for the Switch would be something like that. I want to just be able to take one side off and then use it like this, like an arcade cabinet. How cool would that be?
Nintendo does not let it work like this. You cannot have just one Joy-Con connected and the other not. It has to be all or nothing. In order for the system to recognize the controllers, they either both have to be switched onto the system or they both have to be taken off. Very much looking forward to getting Mario Kart and playing Mario Kart in two-player mode, as well as some of the other unique couch co-op style games that this device will afford, because every single one you buy comes with two controllers that you can separate and have it play as a two-player game.